Hi, I am Katelyn Smith from GALvanize. Keri Potts, thank you for being part of our Who Not Do series. We aren't supposed to talk about your do, but you're in the middle of a huge shift in your do. ESPN Senior Director of Communications in Bristol for 17 years. You just started for the Institute for Women's Policy Research as VP External Affairs. Shifting from sports and entertainment to, what would you call this work now?
Economic policy for women and families. So it's economic policy work, promoting and publicizing the work of the Institute.
You were a fighter and had to find out how strong you were the hard way. In 2008, you survived an assault and attempted rape by an Italian citizen in Italy. You pressed charges internationally and spent 2 years navigating the Italian justice system and criminal court. What did you learn about yourself through all of that?
I think the most important thing I learned was that I could defend myself. I think we all wonder, and that I can endure. I can endure. I can withstand a lot, physically, mentally, and that I'm resilient. And it's nice to know that. It gives you a certain confidence that I don't know that people who haven't been through a near-death experience like that would have. That's the reward for making it through. You should come out of it with a special insight about yourself and maybe a little pep in your step that average person doesn't have.
And from learning all that, we talk so much during these times about using our voices. How does this new chapter allow you to use your voice in a different way?
Well, I'm so excited. It lets me marry my passion, which obviously is, advancing the quality of life overall for all women and families and girls in particular, not just in the States, but in the world over. And, it wasn't a quick transition. I wouldn't advise anyone to quickly move through their assault. There's a lot to learn, a lot about yourself. There's a lot of healing. And just a lot of observation that takes place. And once it ignited kind of a passion in me, like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I'm okay talking about it. This job let me really step into it fully when I was finally ready. I think there's a lot of pressure or expectation. I think other folks see victims, who go on to tell their survival story, who go out and share their story. And I think they feel a kind of a pressure that they impose on themselves to try to heal quickly and then, be an advocate and be out there in the world. And it actually takes a really long time to find your footing and what feels authentic to you. So this work, they do amazing work at the Institute, and I get to use my professional skill set and marry it with my passion. So I'm excited.
And like you said that it does take different time for different people. So how long did it take you to turn your pain into purpose? Because I feel like so many of us get stuck into the pain part.
Yeah. There's also a ghoulishness to the pain. There is this expectation now that people share it so quickly. I meet so many young women and some men that'll say to me, I was just assaulted, but like, how could I, like this pressure on themselves to move through it to help other people. And you cannot help other people until you are fully, completely yourself, and whatever that looks like on the other side. So it's really, for me, it probably took about 6 years. It took the 2 years of the trial, and probably the years after. I always say to people from 32 to 38, I don't remember much. I don't remember anything remarkable. I think just trying to keep my head above water. And, there's a lot of realizations that come when you're assaulted. It's like, how do you introduce this to a potential partner? How do you trust?
Mm-hmm.
How do you gauge what's your comfort level? Your comfort level changes, for some people not. Everyone responds differently. So that was my path. And I would never advise rushing or putting more pressure on yourself. The only job you have is to survive. And if you survive, like, that's pretty awesome. Sit in how awesome that is. And then, give yourself time. Yeah.
You said some women obviously want to just face it head on, but what advice would you give to women who might be fighting a battle that are not ready to face it?
look, I'm a big proponent of therapy, of having another set of eyes on it that's dispassionate, that's removed from the situation. I think a lot of victims, there's guilt, I think, or they're just, trying to move through the bad stuff to get to the good stuff, right? To kind of put it to the back. Because going out and speaking, people tell you, you're brave, you're this, you're courageous, and it's nice to hear all those things. But if you don't have the underpinnings, like the solid foundation, it's actually, none of that's gonna land. None of that's gonna land. So, that's what I would tell them. Just be kind and patient with yourself, and be open to working with a professional, or maybe within your clergy. It's different for everyone. But you're on nobody's timetable but your own, not your parents, not your boyfriend or your girlfriend. A lot of times people feel this pressure to be better for their family because their family feels upset they can't do anything. They're upset they couldn't help you. And a lot of people are trying to do things to get them for them to be okay. And the weird thing about being a victim of this crime is a lot of it is managing the people around you and their trauma, and they are traumatized. They feel absolutely helpless. And so you're not just trying to work yourself out, you're trying to work out what you experience with your family or your friends, and it's a lot of pressure. So I would just say, take your time. I tell that to victims all the time. Take your time. How you feel today will be totally different than next year, than 6 months after that, than 5 years from that. I can give you the long view of it, for sure.
And everyone has something different that can save them. But in a recent podcast I watched that you were in, you said that sports saved your life. What is one thing you could tell women who are lost trying to find their way in the sports industry that isn't always welcoming to them?
Well, why do we accept that? Let's talk about that. I've heard that for 21 years since I got my first job at the NCAA, and I'm still hearing it in 2020. Why is it a man's world? What particular to men makes them particularly acute, that their acumen about business or about sport supersedes that of women? It's not true. Mm-hmm. So I think my advice to young women is cut through the crap. Cut through the crap. Stop going on panels where people ask you, what's it like to be a woman in sport? It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous question. It's like, what's it like to breathe? It's like I get up every day and I'm a woman in sport. Like, I've been in sports my whole life.
That actually just changed my whole insight, because you're right.
Yeah, right? And
it is ridiculous, but we ask that question.
Yeah, and we don't ask them to ask better questions. You're a little frozen. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. Yeah, like, let's ask them to ask better questions. Just ask me about what I'm witnessing as a PR professional, or if you're a marketing professional or rights and acquisitions. Ask me the questions you ask the guys. No one's asking them about work-life balance. No one's asking men who have kids about work-life balance. Ask during that conference why that's not a question that comes up.
Stop
right?
settling for those questions.
Yes, enough. The questions need to change. 21 years, that's all you get. You don't get any more than that. We're good. I give you all permission to call BS on that line of questioning and ask them to actually come up with better questions that highlight your acumen in that field. That's actually going to contribute to the audience, their knowledge and skill set for whatever your part of the profession is. Not about women and being in sport. It's ridiculous.
No, but thank you so much for having me, and I wish you the very best in this wonderful new chapter, and thank you for your time and your incredible insight.
Thank you. I do this work for women like you, for everyone in this program, creating opportunity and economic parity of pay, opportunity, stability, safety for women. So when you get to your reporting, when you're looking for sourcing, look up Institute for Women's Policy Research. We cover all these topics, and And it's good backgrounding for these types of interviews. Like if you're talking about U.S. women's soccer and, you know, their challenge for pay equality and pay equity and, you know, the WNBA, all of that is the work, that's the work that we do. So yeah, check us out, but thank you.